Upon reaching level 20 in Skyrim while exploring one of its wonderful urban areas, you may find that you're approached by a courier bearing a peculiar letter.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. There's a new museum opening up in Dawnstar. The owner is asking me to hand out invitations to travelers.
Once you open the letter, it is revealed to be an invitation from a man named Silas Vesuvius. He invites you to come and experience his museum in Dawnstar. Silas Vesuvius presents the Museum of the Mythic Dawn, a history of the cult that toppled the Septim dynasty inside of his very own home in the great capital of the Pale, Dawnstar, free and open to all citizens of Skyrim. The key word in the letter is free, because I'm all down for free stuff, so off to the city of Dawnstar. By carriage or foot, regardless, we have arrived at Dawnstar, home to Jarl Skald Felgeif, more commonly named Skald the Elder. For 35 years he has ruled over Dawnstar, and it seems he is not too fond of the Empire. He is a strong supporter of the Stormcloak cause, and supports Ulfric's claim to the throne. However, we didn't come to Dawnstar to dabble in politics, or deal with the nightmares its residents are having. Maybe another time. We have more pressing matters, a free tour of the Mythic Dawn Museum. Let's go find it. As we approach this museum, we find two people having an argument.
Your ancestors wouldn't want this, Silas.
Why should I hide from it? This is my family's legacy.
It's the past. Dead oaths on dead lips. Let it stay there.
The museum is open in Medina.
Medina here is the court wizard of Jarl Skald that we talked about before. Let's see what she has to say.
Silas comes from one of the oldest families in Dawnstar. They have a complicated history. Several of his ancestors belonged to the Mythic Dawn, the cult that almost destroyed Tamriel. His family's involvement was only found out well after the crisis had died down, but it still ruined their reputation. They were outcasts. And now Silas is back, and this museum to the Mythic Dawn is his way of trying to rebuild his family's pride. It's misguided. Not a student of history, I see. It's for the best. They're a group that should be forgotten. The only thing you need to know is that they almost destroyed the world, and they were stopped a long time ago.
So in short, Silas was from a respected family who had their reputation ruined after their involvement with the Mythic Dawn was brought to the public eye. This museum Silas has made is his way of restoring his family's pride.
Here comes my first visitor. The Museum of the Mythic Dawn is open, friend. Yes, my collection of artifacts from a group that toppled an empire. Why don't you come in? You can browse the displays and we can talk. I have a job you look perfect for. Let's talk inside.
Alrighty then, let's go see what this museum is all about.
Feel free to look around. Come talk to me when you're ready to discuss that job I mentioned. The tapestries hung here and outside were found in hideouts, where members of the Mythic Dawn would meet and plot. The cult's greatest accomplishment was the assassination of the Septim dynasty and the opening of the Oblivion Gates. That burned paper is all that remains of the fabled Mysterium Xarxes, the blasphemous book written by Mehrunes Dagon himself. It's said that Mankar Cameron used the book to open a portal to a paradise where all his followers would live forever. Ah, yes, that scabbard. Notice the insignia? An Oblivion Gate, a key symbol of Mehrunes Dagon, the patron Daedra of the Mythic Dawn. The commentaries on the Mysterium Xarxes were written by the Mythic Dawn cult leader, Mankar Cameron. He promised a paradise awaited his followers when they died, that they would be reborn by Mehrunes Dagon's side.
So before we go to talk to Silas about this job, let's recap on who the Mythic Dawn are. The Mythic Dawn are the infamous cult that marked the end of the Third Era. They were led by Mankar Cameron, the illegitimate son of Haemon Cameron, better known as Cameron the Usurper, the man who led a bloody conquest of Tamriel, eventually being defeated in High Rock. Mankar Cameron, like his father, had a penchant for conquest, but a different kind of conquest, and not a conquest that he would necessarily lead. You see, the Mythic Dawn is a cult that worships Mehrunes Dagon, the Daedric prince of destruction, revolution, ambition, energy, and change. Many times in Tamriel's history, Mehrunes Dagon has attempted to conquer Tamriel and claim it for his own, but he has failed every time, which is quite obvious since you're standing here in Dawnstar alive. But the time he came closest to finally fulfilling his ambition was at the end of the Third Era, when the Mythic Dawn cult, under the leadership of Menkaure Camoran, paved the way for his grand arrival. Menkaure Camoran was gifted the Mysterium Xarxes. Here in the museum there only remains one tattered page, but once this page belonged to a full book that contained the principles on which the Mythic Dawn were founded. The book was essentially their holy scripture. The Mythic Dawn were devoted to ending the Septim bloodline and the recreation of the Mythic Era, hence the name Mythic Dawn. They thought that Dagon would rule the reborn world, so they served him willfully. The Mythic Dawn pulled off the assassination of Uriel Septim VII and all of his heirs, except one, Martin Septim. This Martin Septim would eventually prove to be the Mythic Dawn's undoing and foil Mehrunes Dagon's invasion, sealing the barrier between Mundus and Oblivion. Now that we're all caught up on who the Mythic Dawn were, let's ask Silas about what he wants from us.
It's no secret that my family were once members of the Mythic Dawn. One of my forefathers was even chosen to assassinate Uriel Septim himself. We hid from our past for years, became tradesmen, people of coin and influence. But I realized that the Mythic Dawn's importance, our importance, to history cannot be denied. I'll see everyone in Tamriel remember that for a moment, we held the fate of the world in our hands, for good or ill. A little history first. After the Oblivion Crisis, a number of groups cropped up dedicated to wiping out the remnants of the Mythic Dawn. One of these groups found Mehrunes' razor, the Artifact of Dagon. They split it into 3 fragments and pledged to keep them apart forever. That was almost 150 years ago, and the pieces are still being kept by the descendants of that group, and they're right here, in Skyrim. At least 2 of the owners, Gunzel and Draskua, are dangerous marauders, and the 3rd owner, Jorgen, I only know he lives in Morthal. Here are my notes about them. I'll gladly pay you for getting the pieces any way you can. No questions asked. The razor is Mehrunes Dagon's personal artifact. It has always heralded bloody change and carnage. It's held many names. Dagger of the Final Wounds, Bane of the Righteous, the Kingslayer. The Mythic Dawn worshipped Dagon as a god. Having his razor would be invaluable to my collection.
So Silas wants to rebuild Mehrunes' razor, the infamous and deadly Daedric artifact belonging to Mehrunes Dagon himself. Let's read the book Silas gave us. Keepers of the Razor. Current descendants of the Inner Circle. Jorgen of Morthal, 8th generation of Clan Axebearer, to bear the hilt of Mehrunes' razor. Son of Halnir, son of Hroy, son of Koli, son of Malt, son of Ligerlade, son of Nerdir, son of Len. Gunzel, leader of the Cracked Tusk Bandits, and 8th to bear the blade shards of Mehrunes' razor. Son of Shellac, son of Mog, son of Gruul, son of Drugob, son of Uzgak, son of Ralmog, son of Othmash. Draskua, leader of the Forsworn of Dead Crone Rock, and 8th to bear the pommel of Mehrunes' razor. Daughter of Cairhien, daughter of Edana, daughter of Malvina, daughter of Muriel, daughter of Riain, daughter of Kaylee, daughter of Sorsha. Historical background. Of all the groups that pledged to eradicate the Mythic Dawn from Tamriel, none were as inadvertently successful as the Keepers of the Razor. Originally a militia group founded to destroy the remnants of the Mythic Dawn, the group was renamed after discovering the legendary artifact of Mehrunes Dagon that became their namesake. How they found the razor is a secret that I have been unable to recover, but it is clear they were not part of Frathan Drothan's failed expedition to Vasa Balim. And in fact, the group does not first appear in Imperial records until 50 years later. The razor was divided among the 3 highest ranking members of the Order's inner circle, to be passed down from oldest child to oldest child until the twin moons themselves disappeared from the skies. Tracing the lineages of the inner circle proved especially difficult thanks to the group's unusual membership. While the leader of the Keepers of the Razor was a Nord and thankfully and easily researched through the clan's family histories, the other two members were an Orc and a native daughter of the Reach, whose culture's paucity of respect for literacy made tracking them down less straightforward. Fortunately, Othmash Grogulars and his sons are well recorded for their service in the Imperial Legion, yet the Daughters of Sorsha proved nearly impossible to find until I uncovered Markarth's meticulously thorough tax records, which recorded each birth of Sorsha's kin in order to administer certain petty fees. Sorsha's current descendant, Drascua, fled to Dreadcrone Rock after the Markarth incident and is considered by the Jarl to be a major threat to the safety of the hold. So the hero of Kvatch claimed the Razor for himself after defeating the rogue Telvanni Archmage Frathan Drothan. Frathan had a plan to retrieve Mehrunes' Razor so that he could use its strength and his Drothmeri army to defeat the Empire, but that whole plan was thwarted by the hero of Kvatch. But sometime after that, the dagger came into possession of a militia group dedicated to destroying the Mythic Dawn. They aptly renamed themselves the Keepers of the Razor, and it was divided 3 ways and then passed down generations, kept hidden away so that it could never be reforged. Well, it looks like it's time to undo 2 centuries of hard work. Let's go find the pieces. We'll first head to Morthal. This one should be relatively easy. We are looking for a man named Jorgen.
Unless it's about the mill. I don't have time to talk. Don't know what you're talking about, stranger. I've heard of him. My father had suspicions about his connection to the Mythic Dawn. Guess they were true. I don't need this. My family wasted 8 generations keeping that razor safe from a dead cult. As far as I care, it can stay locked in my house. I don't care, but my ancestors do. You can't have it. The Vines know the mill could use some new blades. All right, it's yours. Here's the keys. It's locked in the chest inside my house.
Sometimes you just gotta apply a little pressure to get what you want. Let's duck off to his house and retrieve the piece. Got it. The hilt of Mehrunes' Razor. Now off to find Gunzul, the leader of the Cracked Tusk bandits, hiding out in Cracked Tusk Keep. Just got a dispatch of these orcs and find him deeper in the keep. As we approach Gunzul and fight him, he has an interesting line of dialogue.
Looking for the blade? You aren't the first.
Looking for the blade? You aren't the first. Interesting. I wonder if Silas has sent others to seek out the blade before us. Nevertheless, let's take this key and go on down into the vault. Duck, weave, and dodge a few traps, and voila, we have the blade shards of the Razor. Now let's go find this Drascua and get the final piece. Once we've made our way to the top of Dreadcrone Rock, eliminating any Forsworn that stand in our way, we are met by Drascua, who has given herself to vile magics and made herself a Hargrave. Let's put her out of her misery and retrieve the pommel of the Razor. Oh, and let's not forget to loot the chest and read the Dragon Wall. A word of the dismay shout. Nice. Now we got the lot, and let's return to Silas and cash in. Back to Dawnstar we go.
All at once. You're efficient. I like that. Here's your reward. Finally, all the pieces of Mehrunes' razor are in my hands. It's time I let you in on something. There's a fourth piece, that scabbard in the display case, built to house the razor, and there's more. I know how to put all the pieces together. We just need to take them to Dagon Shrine and contact the Lord of Change directly. Ever since I was a boy, I felt this strange sense of destiny surrounding the Mythic Dawn cult, and now I know what it is. Don't you see? Fate has led you to me and to the pieces. Dagon has to answer our call. We're so close. I'll meet you at the shrine.
So Silas now wishes us to reforge the razor, but he will need Mehrunes Dagon to do so. He's asked us to come and meet him at the shrines of Mehrunes Dagon, high up in the mountains. This should be interesting, but first let's have a little sneak peek at the museum. Might grab myself some new digs, dress up all cool and Mythic Dawn-like. Also, I just want to have a look at these Mythic Dawn commentaries. The Mythic Dawn Commentaries are a series of 4 books written by Menkaure Cameron. They are extensive and quite poetic, however much of its writing could be taken as truth. There is an entire theory about Menkaure Cameron being a Dragonborn, supported by evidence both in the game Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and the Mythic Dawn Commentaries themselves. Among other things, the Mythic Dawn Commentaries are complex and are quite difficult to explain. Perhaps another day we can decipher these books in full. For now, we have Silas to attend to. Upon arrival at Mehrunes Dagon Shrine, we find Silas prepared and ready to make the razor whole again.
Good, you're here. I'll place the pieces on the altar, and Dagon should speak to us.
Let's place the pieces on the altar then, see what happens.
Mehrunes Dagon, the Lord of Change. We have brought your razor to you. We beg you, please, bring the blade's full glory to Tamriel again. It's not working. Why don't you give it a try? Just put your hands on the altar.
Perhaps we have the magic fingers.
You, mortal, you are worthy of speaking to. You have claimed the pieces of my razor. It has been an amusing game to witness. But Dagon does not declare a winner while there is a pawn on the board. Kill Silas. He and his family have served their purpose. Only Dagon can declare if a pawn is worth keeping. I have spoken. Kill him. Take your rightful place as my champion, or I will crush you.
Wait, don't kill me. There's another way. I can take the pieces back to my museum, seal them in a display case. You get a generous amount of gold, I get to complete my collection, and nobody has to die.
It seems we have a choice. Let Silas live and forfeit the blade, or kill him and have Dagon reforge it for us. Well, come on, it wouldn't be the full story if we didn't get the razor. Sorry, Silas, we have to kill you for the sake of the video.
Fine. I'm not dying without a fight. Here we go.
And it's done. Silas lays dead, and the razor is ours for the taking.
I am pleased, mortal. I will give you my razor. Use it to wreak havoc on Tamriel. You have been a worthy tool. Fill the world with destruction in my name. Place your hands on my altar one last time, and you will witness the power of Mehrunes Dagon for yourself. Before you go, mortal, one final challenge.
Oh, Mehrunes Dagon, you classic trickster, sending us some Dremora to fight? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, they're dead. Let's check these Dremora, see what they have. Key to Mehrunes Shrine. I would assume that this key opens this door right here. Let's have a little look and see inside. As we enter, we find ourselves faced with two more Dremora, who should be easy dispatches, but in addition to these Daedric enemies, we have found ourselves a vault of treasures. Chests of valuable loot, gold ingots, rare ingredients, enchanted armor, and even a skill book, the catalogue of enchantments, which, funnily enough, adds a point of enchanting to your skill. You'll want to clean this place out, and really after that, the world is your oyster. If we have a deeper look at this weapon, Mehrunes' Razor has a base damage of 11, which is equivalent to a Daedric dagger, so it's pretty powerful. Additionally, it has a weight of 3 versus a weight of 6 that the Daedric dagger has, so it's faster to swing. But best of all, it has a chance to instantly kill any enemy in the game, with 2 exceptions in the Dragonborn DLC, Mirak and Karstag. The enchantment itself never runs out and has precisely a 1.98% chance of activating. So while the effect may happen rarely, it's a nice surprise when it does, especially when it ends up being a lifesaver. So that's it, the somewhat tragic but full story of the Mythic Dawn Museum. Poor Silas only wanted to restore his family's legacy, and was somewhat successful, until Mehrunes decided his usefulness was at an end. Unfortunately, to get the Razor, we had to kill him, but now the Razor has been restored, and it is let loose on Tamriel once again. So in a way, his family did leave a new legacy, the restoration of Mehrunes' Razor, even though none of them are around to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all from me. I'm Scott from FudgeMuppet, and I'll see you next time.